At the inception of the administration of Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu SAN in year 2017, remarkable steps at ensuring that residents of Ondo State continually enjoy values of good governance were put in place. One of such steps was the strengthening of the property tax, otherwise known as the land use charge, to enable the people of Ondo State, particularly property owners, create wealth for themselves. Governor Akeredolu looked through the spirit and letters of the law and realized that there were opportunities which can be explored for the well-being of the people of the Sunshine State. May we remind you that the Ondo State Land Use Charge was enacted in year 2014 by the immediate past administration in Ondo State. A focus on this edition of the program is property tax, a strategic pathway to development. You are heartily welcome to pay your tax. My name is Tayelulu Oladuti. My guest will join me very shortly. Please stay with us.
Akéde Arakunrin Odunayo Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. No doubt, the Oluwarotimi Akeredolu administration is daily delivering on its promises to the people of the Sunshine State. Dividends of good governance of reaching citizens in forms of road construction across the state, attraction of solid industrial base for the state, potential utilization of diverse resources of the state, creating jobs through agri-value chains, making schools in the state accessible as well as conducive for learning, encouragement of community projects through government funding, and bringing smiles to the faces of the public service workers again through regular payment of salaries and rehabilitation of moribund boreholes in the state, to mention a few. Hulala! Akiti is working. Governor Akeredolu is working a stop. The sun is shining again on the lives of the people of the Sunshine State. Having done this much for the good of all in Ondo State, the Oluwarotimi Akeredolu administration says more life-changing projects for all citizens are underway. Therefore, encourage the state government by paying your tax today for all nooks and crannies to become heaven of comfort for all. Pay your tax, as tax brings development. This message is sponsored by the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service.
We are glad to have you with us today on Pay Your Tax, the Director of Property Tax and Other Taxes in Ondo State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Bamidele Falade. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back on the beat.
When we started the program, we stated in our intro that the Land Use Charge Law 2014 has quite a number of opportunities which Governor Akeredolu believed could be explored. May we know if those opportunities are now being utilized?
Thank you very much once again. Yes, all the opportunities that are inherent when the law was created, was enacted, being realized in Ondo State as of today. You know, the land use charge laws was actually enacted in 2014, but it was not implemented until the present administration came on board. And if you look at the law, it's meant to replace tenement rate and grand rent, which was either being collected by local government authority. When the law was enacted, it consolidated all the land rate charges, and the power was bestowed on the state government to collect even on behalf of the local government. And basically, it was meant to generate revenue for the state. And if you look at the law clearly stated that the revenue generated will be shared between the state and local government. So a lot of revenue is being generated, which is a new revenue line for the states, and more funds are coming in. Then beyond revenue generation, you know, that law created an opportunity for employment generation, employment creation. Mr. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu saw a need in needs that if we are going to implement this law, we can actually use that opportunity to generate employment. A lot of young graduates were employed during the period, about 400 of them, and they were employed across the 18 local government of the state. So revenue generation was part of it, employment generation was part of it. Then beyond that too, a database was created, you know, that was useful for planning and development. A lot of things were generated. We had enumeration whereby we have the number of houses in Ondo State, we have the name of the people occupying those houses. And when you talk about data, data is very critical in planning purposes and development. I quickly share one of the few experiences we've had with the land use data. You know, a community where we have 100 people may actually have more than 100 inhabitants.
Okay.
And when it comes to waste management, you can determine or forecast the level of waste that will be generated by that community. If my community has 100 buildings and there are 100 inhabitants, 100 families, we can determine the level of waste that will be generated. There may be some other densely populated community in which they have the same 100 buildings, but there may be multi-family living in a property. So a community that has 100 buildings that are owner-occupied, having 100 family living there, another communities that has 100 properties, but they have multi-family living in each of the property, may end up having 300 families living there. So the level of waste that will be generated in those areas will differ, will be more. So when government have such information at their disposal, they can determine and plan on waste collection from those areas, because one will need more services than the other. And that's part of what the land use database are being used for. In a lot of ways, it's been very useful. On the click of a button, we can know the number of hotels in the town, we can know the number of private secondary school, private primary school, number of filling stations, event centers and a lot. And these are things that will help government in determining the infrastructural need of each community.
Well, thank you. We can't stop talking about the amnesty offer of Mr. Governor to property owners who had wanted to comply with the law. Can we have your comments about this offer?
You know, when the law was enacted by the last administration, it could not be implemented.
Then
it could not be implemented then. But when the current governor, came on board, you know, being a lawyer, a son for that matter, and the former president of the NBA, he looked critically at the law and wondered why it could not be implemented. You know, he interacted with people and get to understand that the amount that will be charged as AUC charge for each property will be very high. Okay. Now, being a very considerate person and very compassionate, he's a social crusader. He listened to the people, he could feel their pulse, and now decided that there's a need for us to reduce the amount chargeable on each property. And that's what gave birth to the issue of amnesty value. Okay. So at the end of the exercise, after taking a critical look at it, based on Mr. Governor's advice, we decided to peg the maximum amount that can be charged on residential property. And that is when amnesty came in. So we now found out that even the biggest, most beautiful mansion, that residential property, is pegged at the maximum payment of 10,000 naira per annum. And the least amount for other, probably lesser property, is 1,000 naira per annum. Okay. So with that, it became a reasonable amount that's easily affordable by property owners in Ondo State.
Okay, so let's look at the compliance level by the property owners in Ondo State, so the land use charge. How are they complying?
You know, I said earlier on that when the law was enacted, it could not even be implemented. Okay. So the compliance level was as good as zero. But over the years, since the implementation of the amnesty value, and with the recruitment of new staffs who are spread across the 18 local government of the state, these are people that live in those communities. These are people that are even indigenous of those communities. The compliance level has started increasing. Although we are not where we should be now, but every year we keep improving. And of course, there's still room for a lot of improvement in our collection. But people are complying year in, year out. The figure keep increasing.
Okay, that the state and council authorities meet regularly to share accrued revenue from land use charge points to mutual cooperation for development in Ondo State. Let's have your comment about this.
You see, you know, if you look at what has been collected, generated from land use since inception to now, to date, it's about 1 billion naira. This is a new revenue line for the state government, and every available fund and revenue is being channeled towards developing infrastructure. When the law was enacted, the state and the local government are meant to share the proceeds of the revenue generated from land use charge. And the law says the sharing ratio should be 80% to the state government and 20% to the local government. 20% of the revenue being given to the local government is something enough for them to start doing some infrastructural development. But, at some point, the local government chairman starts making overtures to the state government to increase what comes to them. And,
from 20%?
Yeah, from 20%. And Mr. Governor hearkened to the request and decided to increase it to 30%.
Okay.
So that means the revenue going to the local government has increased. So they now have funds for infrastructural development, for maintenance of infrastructure, for another development engagement in their community. So it's an addition to them. It's not only an addition to the state government, but the local government, and even to the people paying to the benefit in one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
My guest on the program is the Director, Property Tax and Other Taxes at the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Bamidele Falade. And today we are discussing property tax, a strategic pathway to development. We'd like to go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program. Do stay with us.
Hooray! Payment of taxes and rates is now made easier and simpler in Ondo State through the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service. One-stop shop model tax stations in 2 different locations in Akure, the state capital. Visit Oyemekun tax station within the premises of Wema Bank PLC on Oyemekun Road, Akure, or visit Alagbaka tax station within the premises of UBA PLC, Alagbaka, Akure, to pay your taxes and rates into Ondo State designated revenue accounts without any stress. For further inquiries, call the following number: 0188397000 or 09284770004, or send WhatsApp messages to this number 08104864804. Contact us at odirs.ng or info@odirs.ng. Also, chairman at odirs.ng. Our website is www.odirs.ng. Pay your tax as tax brings development. Ondo State Internal Revenue Service announcer.
Glad to have you back. And today, the topic is property tax, a strategic pathway to development. Mr. Bamidele Falade, the Director, Property Tax and Other Taxes, the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service, ODIRS, is still very much around. Glad to have you back, sir. So now let's talk about the different rates payable by different properties.
We still have to go back to the law.
Okay.
What does the law say? When the law was enacted. Provisions were made on what will be the determinant of what rate that be applicable by each property.
Okay.
Then Ondo State was divided into 3 categories. The states and each town were divided into 3 categories. We have some areas that are designated as high value zone.
Okay.
We have other areas designated as medium value zone. And we have some that are called basic value zone, base value zone. And what determines the designation, the categorization, it depends on government presence and development in that area. Let me use Akure for an example. A place like Ijapu, a place like Alagbaka, who we call the VI. Are area designated as high value zone. Okay. And we agree with me that they are actually a high value zone. And we have commercial areas too, like Obade, Shida, Harakale, and the rest. And we have base value zone, probably areas that are not enjoying as much government presence as what is obtainable in Alagbaka. Okay. Maybe have the likes of maybe Afumbio, Donny Garage, and the rest. I may have some other areas that are called base value zone. These are places where probably government presence are not being fetched as much. So those are 3 categories, which determines the amount to be paid. So a high value zone area will actually attract a higher rate when it comes to land use charge. So beyond the value zone, another consideration is the land size. You and I can have the same property, probably a 3-bedroom bungalow, on different sizes of land. Maybe yours is on a 1,000 square meter and mine is on a 5,000 square meter. So because I have a bigger portion of land, my rate will be slightly higher than yours. Yes. Then another consideration is the purpose. What is the property being used for? Is it for residential purposes or is it for commercial purposes? Okay. For residential purposes, we cap the amount at the maximum of 10,000
for residential.
For residential, okay. And the rest is 1,000. Okay. But for commercial, it's a revenue generating activities that you are doing there. So it's higher than what is obtainable in a residential property. Then apart from purpose too, valuation is supposed to be a key ingredient in determining it. But because of the amnesty value that was introduced, the valuation aspect was suspended. But if we are actually going to use valuation, the amount to be paid will actually be higher. So those are the categories that determine what the rate will be as contained in the law.
Okay. Landed property development is such a dynamic subsector. Where there is no property today, you can have it there tomorrow. That is, if there is no building today, maybe here, tomorrow we can have a building being erected there. How are you updating your covering of the entire state? Okay,
good. But before I go into that, let me expand on what you've said. Property development is very dynamic.
Okay.
It's not a function of having a plain land today and having a development on it tomorrow. It goes far beyond that. A property that exists today can be demolished and another one erected.
Okay.
A property that is a bungalow used for residential property today can be converted to commercial purpose. So a lot of changes can happen when it comes to property. And, since the dynamics of what determines the rate to be paid differ from property purposes, usage, and of course, the nature. So we are dynamic in our own approach to land use charge too. Like I said earlier, about 400 young graduates were recruited when we commenced. And we have the spread across the 18 local governments in the states. We have present. In fact,
not just Akure.
Not just Akure. In fact, I think the local government that has the least number of land use charge staff will be 4. I'm not talking about the entire ODRS staff in each local government. I'm talking about land use charge alone. So, and these are people that reside and live in those communities. So when a new property is popping up, they can identify it. When a property is being converted to other usage, maybe from residential to commercial, they observe, they know. And they bring the information to the office. When a property is being demolished, another one is being erected, they get to know too. So they go back to that property and conduct a new set of enumeration, gather the information, and we update our database. So our database is as dynamic as the property market is dynamic too. So we are not static. We keep updating the database as the landscape of the property presents itself.
Okay. In your implementation of the land use charge law, how convenient it is for the property owners to pay what is payable on each property?
Yes, one thing that we have always preached, if you've listened to many interviews being granted by the executive chairman, is convenience for our taxpayers.
To pay?
Yes. The more convenient it is for them, the more the high level of voluntary compliance that we are likely to witness. So we have multi-channels through which people can pay without stretching themselves when it comes to land use charge. You can walk to any bank, except GT Bank. You can go to any bank with your bill, with your demand notice, and make payments for a land use charge. You can go to any of our 24 tax stations spread across the 18 local government and make payment. You can even pay on your phone. You can download Quick Teller application and make payment on your phone using your ATM card. You can go to any ATM machine as well and look for the ones that have Quick Teller application, and you can make payment for a land use charge there as well. And if you want to even pay at the convenience of your home, you have a dedicated account that you can make a direct transfer to and indicate your property tag allocation number and make payment. You don't even need to state your name. Once you put the correct tag number there, that's like your unique identification for your property. Once we get it, we feed it to our system, we get all your details, you make your payment, and we are allowed to document your receipt is ready for you to come and collect. It's very, very convenient.
Okay.
You can pay from the comfort of your home.
Okay. We'd like to go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program. Do stay with us.
Finally, a big relief is here for taxpayers in Ondo State. Without an express payment of all taxes, charges, fees, and fines are now made easier through the banks approved by the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service. Access Bank, First Bank, Polaris Bank, Union Bank, UBA, Wema Bank, Unity Bank, and Zenith Bank. Others are Stanbic IBTC, Kickstone, Guaranty Trust Bank, Fidelity Bank, FCMB, EcoBank, and Sterling Bank. Pay to the banks directly. Don't give your cash to anyone. For further inquiries, call the following number: 0188397000 or 09284770004, or send WhatsApp messages to this number: 08104864804. Contact us at odirs.ng or info@odirs.ng. Also, chairman at odirs.ng. Our website is www.odirs.ng. Pay your tax, as tax brings development. Ondo State Internal Revenue Service announcer.
Glad to have you back. And today, the topic is property tax, a strategic pathway to development. Mr. Bamidele Falade, the Director, Property Tax and Other Taxes, the Ondo State Internal Revenue Service, ODIRS, is still very much around. Okay, Mr. Bamidele, let's talk about the benefit of compliance now. What are the benefits of compliance with the land use charge law by the property owners?
Yes, they are multidimensional.
Okay.
How? Number one is a law,
okay,
and we are expected to be a law-abiding citizen. So we should comply with the provision of the law and make our payment. And it shows how patriotic we are towards contributing our quota, no matter how little it is, to the development of Ondo State. 1,000 payment for a property for 1 year. If we divide it by 12, that's an average of 83 naira a month, which is affordable. Even for the highest amount, which is 10,000 naira for a bigger house, that's an average of about 833 naira a month, which is easily affordable. So we should do our bit, comply with the law, and pay that amount. Then beyond that, there are so many things that you may want to do in Ondo State that payment of the land use charge are precondition. For example, now if you need a tax clearance certificate, you can't get it without paying your land use charge. It's a precondition for it. If you want to get your building plan approval, you must have your land use charge payment receipt with you. If you want to process your CFO, you must have it as well. So there are so many other. If you want to have any transaction with the state government, you must have a tax clearance certificate. And before you can get a tax clearance certificate, you must have paid your land use charge as well. So even they give you the right to make a demand on government. When you have paid your land use charge, you can start requesting for development in your community. And on our part too, as ODRS, we embark on community impact project. When we partner with communities and see if we have communities that we have higher level of compliance, we do 1 or 2 little projects in that community as a way of saying thank you and appreciating them for supporting the state government.
Okay. So is there any reason for which one may not want to pay land use charge?
I can't think of anyone. I can't think of any reason why anyone can just decide not to pay.
Maybe
except those that are probably legally exempted by the law, like mosque, like churches, palaces, recognized palaces of traditional rulers, shrines, and even when it comes to religious organizations, hospitals are supposed to pay. Okay. Most of the private hospitals are being used for commercial purposes too. Okay. But let me make a little clarification about the issue of properties being owned by religious body, like maybe a church or maybe a mosque. For churches, for example, the only property that are exempted are property owned by the church and being used exclusively at the place of worship. So if a religious organization has a school, they pay land use charge on that school. If they have an event center, they pay land use charge on that event center. If they have other businesses like sachet water manufacturing, they must pay land use charge on that property. Even if they have the pastor's house, a mission house, they have to pay. But for the church main auditorium itself, that's being used exclusively for a place of worship, they are exempted. And for NGOs too, NGOs are exempt from paying if the property is being used for sporting activities. It's clearly stated in the law.
And finally, your advice to all stakeholders in the landed property subsector, and also quickly assure on your capacity to cover the state. Yes,
we have different categories of stakeholders. We have property owners,
Okay.
the general citizen of Ondo State, the local government authority who have been supporting us, and even our staff. I can let them be rest assured that the money being collected are being remitted to government coffer,
Okay.
and are being used for development purposes. I want to enjoy each and every one of them to continue to comply with the provisions of the law, pay their land use charge. Our staff are very friendly, very accommodating. They will ensure that the amount paid is actually remitted to government coffers, and we get receipt for their payment. And I'm sure to the state government, they can see all the developments happening across the state, that every revenue is being used for that purpose.
Dear viewer, we are done with this edition of Pay Your Tax. We'd like to thank the Director, Property Tax and Other Taxes on those states Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Bamidele Falade, for coming on the program today. Thank you so much for being part of the program today, Mr. Falade.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope that next time when we invite you, you will definitely oblige us.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And next week, by His grace, we'll be back again on another fresh edition of Pay Your Tax. So stay with us, same time, same station. My name is Taye Lulu Oladuti. On behalf of the executive producer of the program, Tulu Adegbe, I say God bless you, God bless ODIRS, God bless Ondo State, and God bless Nigeria. It pays when you pay your tax.